I need to set up today's car in the proper context. Back in the late 90s, the Ford Taurus lost its leadership position to Honda and their Accord. Then the Camry surpassed it. Leadership at Ford started thinking they need to go in a different direction for the sedan and wagon marketplace. Also in 1999, under then CEO Jack Nasser, Ford formed the Premier Automotive Group. This included brands that were higher end, things that they had previous investments in, such as Aston Martin, Jaguar, Land Rover, and Nasser's latest acquisition would be Volvo. Nasser was hopeful that these brands would find a way to work together, that they would elevate the brand for Ford. And this may have been one of the worst decisions in Ford's history. More on that later. All that brings us to today's car. It was to be the replacement for the Taurus in the sedan segment. It's the Ford 500 and Mercury Montego. These were engineered under a quality control system that was brought in by Volvo. It was computerized. It allowed designers and engineers and pretty much anyone involved in the process of building a new car to look at all the data that they received from prototypes at any time. The thought there was they would reduce redundancies and they would get a better car, would get to market quicker. These are cars that I'm going to submit to you should have never been built. But we'll get to that at the end of the story. For now, let's take a look at the Ford 500 and the Mercury Montego.
The all-new Ford 500 is elevating the safety of the sedan. Now the 500 has earned a 5-star crash test rating in all 4 categories. In fact, when all the testing was finished, there was only one question left to ask. How did you do it? The new Ford 500, elevating the sedan. Ford, built for the road ahead.
The Ford 500 and its Mercury counterpart, the Montego, were launched in September 2004 as 2005 models. These were the first cars built on the D3 platform. This was a modified Volvo P2 platform, and this platform allowed Ford and Mercury to easily offer all-wheel drive on both cars. Ford offered all-wheel drive on any trim level as an option for only $1,700. Other items borrowed from Volvo include a modified side impact protection system that channeled impact forces around the passenger compartment, improved front frame rails that better absorbed a frontal impact, and dual airbags with side curtain airbags as optional. Both cars featured 4-wheel independent suspension, front and rear stabilizer bars, and 4-wheel anti-lock brakes. Both cars looked very different than the Taurus and Sable they were built to replace. They were noticeably taller by more than 5 inches. The seats were positioned higher in the passenger cabin in an effort to provide better visibility, and the rear seats featured theater-style seating, sitting 3 inches higher than those in the front of the car. The car was styled to look more European. The door handles were no longer flush. The composite headlamps were taller. The wheels were 8-spoke, and the car featured a more traditional-looking grille. The 500 was the first full-size Ford sedan to offer a folding rear seat, and that seat was a 60-40 split. Ford offered only one engine in the sedans, the 203 horsepower Durotech double overhead cam 3.0-liter V6, which put down 207 pound-feet of torque. This was mated either to a 6-speed automatic in most front-wheel drive cars or a continuously variable transmission for cars equipped with all-wheel drive or on the entry-level SE cars. The 500 was available in 3 trim levels. The entry level was the SE. The SE included cloth seating, keyless entry, and power driver's seat, windows, locks, mirrors, and a trunk release. Also included 17-inch painted alloy rims, an AM/FM stereo with a single-disc CD player, and air conditioning. The mid-level SEL added heated mirrors, fog lamps, a security system, automatic headlamps, automatic temp control, a message center with a compass, dual power front seats, an auto-dimming rear-view mirror, and an AM/FM with 6-disc in-dash CD player with MP3 capabilities and steering wheel audio controls. The top of the line was the Limited. That added leather heated seats, memory driver's seat and mirrors, an analog clock, an audiophile sound system with a subwoofer, and an AM/FM stereo with 6-disc in-dash CD player and MP3 capability. Mercury offered 2 trim levels, the Luxury which slotted in between the 500's SE and SEL and offered leather seats as optional, and the Premier, which would be the equivalent of Ford's Limited. These cars were built to replace the Taurus and Sable, however Ford hedged its bets. They continued to produce the Taurus and Sable alongside the Ford 500 and Mercury Montego. Ford delivered 105,630 500s in 2005, but they also delivered 211,254 Ford Tauruses. Mercury delivered 28,664 Montegos, but it also sold 36,134 Sables.
Introducing Mercury Montego, a dependable ride for the undependable forecast.
2006 was a complete carryover year for both cars. Ford added traction control to the car's standard feature list and introduced a navigation system as an option. Those are the only two changes of note. Ford delivers 84,218 500s in 2006 and 163,032 Tauruses. Mercury delivers 19,611 Montegos, but they did not produce a Sable in 2006. 2007 is another carryover year for the Ford 500. The entry-level SE is discontinued, and side curtain airbags became standard equipment. There are no other changes of note. Ford ends production of the 500 and Montego on April 12, 2007. Ford delivered 35,146 500s for 2007, and Mercury rolled out an additional 15,586 Montegos. Now, it can be argued that the Ford 500 and the Mercury Montego were some of the safest cars Ford had made up until that point in time. Now, that has a lot to do with using the Volvo platform. You see, Volvo had made safety their number one priority in manufacturing long before Ford had purchased them. Employing Volvo's quality control process that allowed anyone in the process, whether it be design or engineering, to follow the car along and check out the prototype testing, it sounds like a good idea. You heard the saying, 2 heads are better than 1. There's also another saying, too many chefs in the kitchen ruin the cake. And I think that's where this went. When you build a car by consensus, many times you end up with it's nothing special. Ford's chief designer, Jay Mays, said at the time, "I don't think the 500 or the Freestyle was one of my brighter moments at Ford." He went on later to say it just lacked the emotional appeal that they should have put into it. Alan Mullehy was brought in from Boeing. He was to take over from William Clay Ford Jr. That was in September of 2007. One of the first things he did was stop production of the 500 and Mercury Montego. He actually didn't stop production of them. He just stopped using the name Ford 500 and replaced it with Taurus. They were already working on a next-gen Ford 500, and that car became the 2008 Ford Taurus. Mullehy's thought process was that the Taurus was one of the best-selling nameplates that Ford had. There was no reason to throw it out. They should simply do what other car manufacturers do, improve upon it, make it a better vehicle. It'll continue to sell. The next thing on Mullehy's agenda was to break up the Premier Auto Group. You see, all of these companies operated differently. There were no synergies. They didn't work together. Mullehy began a fire sale of these companies that lasted almost 5 years. Now, Ford had spent over $17 billion acquiring these assets. It's rumored they got between $3 and $4 billion back, but Mullehy put that into cash, set off to the side, save it for a rainy day. That rainy day would come. In 2008, we had the housing crisis. The U.S. economy tanked, and the automobile industry, they were in some deep doo-doo. Now, Alan Mullehy had put away that cash. When companies like GM and Chrysler needed government bailouts, Ford was able to say thanks, but no thanks, we got this. At the beginning of the video, I said these cars shouldn't have been built, and I stand by that. It would have been a lot easier and a lot less expensive to not buy Volvo and then put a Ford body on it. They could have taken the Taurus and modernized it, made it better, made it a nicer vehicle. And they did do that in 2010. That car sold relatively well, Now, by 2010, we were well into the SUV takeover, so to sell a four-door sedan at the time wasn't the easiest job to do. So if you enjoyed this video, this look at Ford Motor Company and its history, hit the like button. That way other people will see it. Also, if you are a fan of Ford Motor Company and their products, consider subscribing. I have a lot of content like this on the channel. Like this video over here, it's on the Ford Taurus, the first two generations of Ford Taurus, the one that set sales records. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Till next time, we'll see you.